Policy or erratic behavior? Or did Donald Trump just commit the bigger insider trading stock swindle in history, causing $3 trillion worth of value to pass through the transom of Wall Street because he made an announcement in the morning about buying stock and then he hit the pause button on the tariffs? Who knew about it? Who's going to prosecute it? We break it all down for you the only way we know how. Telling truth on Legal AF, the podcast. Take a listen. So let's do tariffs, right? I framed it to open. You know what happened. 9:37 in the morning, Donald Trump says, great time to buy. At 1:30 or so, he announces 90-day stay. $4 trillion floods back into the market, benefiting who knows who. But let's get your opinion.
Look, I mean, it was pretty clear to me when Elon Musk, who seems to be out from Doge, felt he could go openly to war with Peter Navarro and talk about who's credited with being the architect of these tariffs, basically going to war with him publicly on X, calling him all kinds of names and a moron and doesn't know anything. And Peter Navarro going back against Elon Musk and essentially calling the tariffs a really bad idea. It was pretty clear at that point that something was about to change because Elon Musk, although he might no longer be part of Doge, I think is pretty clear he's still a part of Trump's inner circle, and something was afoot. So I wasn't surprised when Trump reversed course, but I think that normally what would happen in something like this is the Department of Justice or a prosecutor would follow the money and see if there's anyone who benefited from this. But there's really nothing you can do about it, right? Because the Department of Justice is controlled by Donald Trump. So nobody's going to investigate whether there's any insider trading that I can think of, unless a local prosecutor's office does it. But I just don't see any way that anyone would be held accountable. I don't see the SEC looking into whether or not someone benefited from this. Whether, again, not just insider trading, but you're not allowed to impact the markets. And again, if this was anybody else, there'd be an investigation, but it's the president of the United States. He controls the executive branch, and any of these agencies, whether it's an administrative agency, a regulatory agency, or the Department of Justice, all work for him. So of course we know they're not going to look into that. So he can do whatever he wants. You can thank the Supreme Court for that in Trump versus the United States.
Right. Roberts gave him license to commit larceny. That's how we knew that we talked about it. We managed expectations. We said this was going to be the lesson that Donald Trump learned from having won criminal immunity from prosecution from this administration before he was elected president again, and that he was going to operate that way. We were going to see the greatest grift in the history of, our America. That's exactly what we're watching. No self-respecting, honest public servant, president of the United States, would stand in front of the American people and sell stock and benefit his friends. No, the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, he's out shilling for Tesla stock, which is a violation of a number of statutes, but who's going to investigate it? The House, the Senate, the executive branch. Stop me if the wheel lands on something that'll actually act, which is why generally the public watching this in action and watching the pendulum swing so far in the wrong direction self-corrects at the midterms and says, you know what, we got to get the other party one or both of the other branches, because or at least the two chambers of the House and the Senate, because we got to hold Donald Trump accountable, because nobody else is holding him accountable. I think I did a hot take on it, and I'm sure it's up on Midas as well. But you've got the Representative Horford, who's cross-examining as part of his job in Congress of providing oversight. The Steve Horsford is cross-examining Jamie Greer. By the way, anybody watching and listening to Jamie Greer that thinks he's the head of the tariff and tarification policy of Donald Trump, seriously? I mean, I wouldn't let that guy wash my windows if I was stopped at a traffic light, let alone run my tariff policy. He's obviously, he's sort of a paper, not even a tiger. He's just a figurehead. And while he was giving his testimony was right around 1:00 when Trump announced that he was going to pause for 90 days, obviously taking a page out of 2 days ago. There was a rumor, sounds like now it was a leak, that they had to quickly deny at the rapid response team for Donald Trump. Fake news, because he wasn't ready yet. But somehow it leaked that he was thinking about exactly what he did today, a 90-day pause. And that made the markets really happy. And they recovered $2 trillion worth of their lost value on that rumor. Then Donald Trump issued a fake news social media tweet, and it went into the crapper again. But he has eyes. He saw what happened. And so he decided, wow, the fake news could make it $2 trillion. Let's see what I can do. So he announces it. This guy's there. It led Representative Horsford to say, and I quote, "So the trade representative for Trump hasn't spoken to the president of the United States about a global reordering of trade, but that he just announced it on a tweet? What WTF? Who is in charge here? This is amateur hour." I love the fact that WTF ended up in the Congressional Record, and Jamie Greer had to say was, well, he was elected president of the United States. I'm not going to reveal the things that we talked about. He says, we gave you questions to answer. You need to answer those questions here. And so follow the money. I'm sure over the next several days, organizations, including ones that are with us on Legal AF, like Court Accountability Action, are going to figure out who was benefited by the $4 trillion recovery, with a T, today, among Donald Trump's friends. And we'll come back to it and we'll report on it. But we're just watching, so many firsts with Donald Trump, right? First to be twice impeached, first to be criminally multiply indicted, first to be convicted, first president to be a convicted felon, And so of course he's doing these things as well. Welcome back. We've been doing that show for almost 5 years. It's called Legal AF, and the Midas Touch Network and Midas Touch podcast, #1 in the world. But Legal AF is in the top 10, and that's all because of you. We sit at the intersection of law and politics. We do it not just twice a week with the podcast on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch YouTube channel, but we do it every day, every hour over here on Legal AF as well. Legal AF MTN, help us grow that pro-democracy channel. If you like Legal AF, the podcast, then take that clip and send it off to people in your life and ask them to join us, because we're trying to continue to grow organically. We don't have an outside marketing department. We are the outside marketing department. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states, and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.